Hello everybody, I'm Duke James. This is Vietnam 3.0. So I think part of the problem is normally you would do building all over your country throughout your campaign, so that would lead to an increase in demand for urban goods, and then that would also lead to more people moving to those provinces where you do building in, so you'd get more residents that way. Prices for goods would increase as you demand more, leading to higher profitability, more people, and then your industries would expand that way. So since I'm not doing a whole lot of building, those steps really aren't happening. But now the demand is actually increasing, so hopefully that happens. But I'm going to do some more building. I think the next 10 years, it's going to be an autonomy plan. So I'm going to try to reduce autonomy around the country. So from 1458 to 1468 will be the 10-year autonomy plan, and I'll see what this does. Depends if the stuff that I build actually gets built by the end of 10 years, which is entirely possible that nothing I do gets built. Some things probably will, but some things probably won't be built, since even this first level didn't get built. I don't think this moved at all, really, but I'll start building some stuff and hopefully stimulating that demand. So here is the local autonomy map mode. You can see it's very green up here in this little area. Yellow, gets yellow along the coast, and then red down here and red up here. So the good thing about autonomy is you can actually see, if you go to provincial corruption, you can see autonomy in my country is multiplied by 1.225. So I think that's actually pretty good, because in my Fez campaign for the longest time that was like 1.7. So 1.22, I imagine 1 is perfect autonomy. So I'm gonna just rather arbitrarily set a goal of that autonomy being 1.15. It's entirely possible that I don't come anywhere close to that, depending on if my buildings are built. But that's going to be my goal. 1.15 times. So that's a reduction of 0.075. Autonomy. And that'll also help reduce corruption. Actually, I think that's the main benefit of getting rid of, or reducing autonomy, is the corruption benefits. So first thing is obviously a capital. Building capital in my capital would cost 1,800 ducats, so I'm going to hold off on that for now. But a long time ago, I did build a Harbor's Ring 3. That decayed, so I'm going to go ahead and build that again. So that's 100 ducats. So I'm going to get that going, and then I don't know if I'm actually paying for that. Looks like state's investment is going to irrigation in the capital. And that's about it. So since that ticked down before, I'm going to start building that. I think amenities is fine. This is actually kind of confusing to see. It says elite investment is 21.5 ducats, maintenance spending is 20.8. I assume these buildings aren't going to tick down, because then there's also 2.5 ducats for mine, but I don't know where the elite are investing those ducats, if it's spread out evenly. And then if you look at the actual buildings, it just tells you yearly decay 0.923 and then maintenance spending 5.265. It doesn't tell you what the elite are actually spending on those buildings, so you can't look at individual ones. I don't know if that means that the yearly decay, is that yearly decay minus the elite investment, or does that not include the elite investment? Because if it doesn't include the elite investment, then you would think that every single one of these buildings would be decaying. But the elite investment is 21.5 ducats, which covers more than the maintenance spending. And that yearly decay adds up to more than the difference between elite investment and maintenance spending. So I think this could definitely be reworked. Unless it's just because there's also the infrastructure fund, which is 194 ducats, which I assume gets spent to increase the levels. So yeah, this could definitely be reworked. When property is able to expand, increased space for any corresponding industry can allow further growth. I don't think that has to do with yeah, that stuff on the bottom doesn't have to do with the infrastructure. This should probably be moved to its own tab, I'm thinking. But anyway, I'll do 25% in the harborage, 25% in irrigation. So that rank 3 harbor should help everywhere. Because that's also the start of a river. So that'll help going this way on the river. And then it'll help when people leave from the capital to go everywhere else in the country. And then in terms of roads, I think I've mentioned in the past that I wasn't going to build roads. But I think I will. So pretty much none of these provinces on the coast have roads. There's one down here. There's one over here. There's one there and 2 in my capital. So it's 2 there, 1 there, 1 here, and 1 down there. So there's not a whole lot of road coverage in terms of the coastline. There's a level 2 road there, a level 2 road there. This is a river system, so those roads are not really needed. What I will do is build a road right here in Jia Hung. Let's go ahead and do that. I will do 25% to pathing. So I have a level 1 road here. So it'll be level 2, level 1, level 1. I was wondering if I should upgrade this to level 2. I think I'm going to worry about getting everything to level 1 first. This will help reduce the autonomy here in these provinces. I'm going to build a harborage here. $500 ducats for a rank 2 harborage in this province. Yeah, that's fine, I'll pay it. And then I'll do 25%. Because there's no irrigation. Lead investment is higher. So I assume none of these are going to decay. So I'll do that for now. That's a rank 2 there. There's a rank 2 harborage there that I built a while ago. But no roads, so I'm going to build a road here. That should help out reducing the autonomy in these 2 provinces. And then there's a rank 2 harborage down here. The autonomy down here, this is 72.7%, this is 80%. 81%. So because of this harborage, the autonomy is 10% lower in this province, despite being further away from the capital. I'd rather put... There's a level 1 road here. So which is cheaper? Probably building a level 1 road is cheaper than building a level 1 harborage, but I'm probably going to want a harborage here eventually anyway. And this also can go spread to these 2 provinces potentially, so I'll build a level 1 harborage there. Do 25% spending. And then let's see actually what a road would cost here. Yeah, I'm not sure I can actually build it. I don't know if I want to build it anyway, because the amenities is still trying to build, so I think I'll just leave that province alone for now. So there is a harbor being built right there, a road being built right there, a harbor up here, road up there, and a harbor in my capital. Let me see 2 roads up here. Eventually I think I'll just build a level 1 road system, at least, coming down the coastline. 300 ducats for roads in those 2 provinces. Alright, then I'll leave that there. So that was, I think, 1,500 ducats. 3 or 4 roads. I think 4 roads, couple harbors. See what that does in terms of autonomy. Okay, so we're gonna get a lot of corruption here. So I'm gonna go ahead and guarantee livable salaries. This will increase the wages paid to officials, which actually shows up somewhere. Where does that show up? Review the bureau... Nope, that's not it. There should be a section that actually says... There used to be one that... Okay, you know what? There used to be one that would allow you to change the salaries of the wages of the administration. So they must have gotten rid of that and they put it into this. So this is how you... This reform is how you change the amounts paid to officials. So they don't have that section anymore. But this will increase the wages paid to officials. I believe it's negative 80% right now. Actually, okay, it's 50%, so our officials are 50% cheaper right now. But that increases corruption and reduces the efficiency of the administration, so we'll give them a living wage. And they'll become... they'll be 30% more expensive than where they are now. But that should reduce corruption and reduce the inefficiency of the administration. At the cost of a massive amount of corruption. It increases elite loyalty by 5%. So actually, you know what I might do first? I'm going to demote the nobility. So they're going to lose 5% power every year for the next 10 years. Actually, you know, instead of doing that, I'm going to revoke a privilege from them. So I want to get rid of, let's see. I'm going to revoke this processing monopoly right now. Apparently that gives +1 noble gravity, but I think that it's supposed to be negative 1%. Unless that's how it's intended to be. The other two that are in the same vein give negative 1% noble gravity, but this one increases it apparently. But this gives negative 2.5% base rate for all peasantry dues owed to the nobility, so hopefully that leads the peasantry to having more money and the nobility having less money. Costs 35 noble loyalty, +2 welfare. It also gives +2 welfare and negative 30 relations between the aristocrats and the state. So I'm going to revoke that. In order to make up for that loss, I'm going to... I'm going to employ an aristocratic statesman. So that will reduce the loyalty of everybody else. But if that's based on influence, hopefully that's not that bad. The Metropolitans dropped by like 50 before. Everybody else, spiritualists, chiefs, and bureaucrats, dropped by about 20. So I'll go ahead and check that. Let's go ahead and do that. Yeah, Metropolitans dropped by 20. Okay, so everybody dropped by 20. I think the bureaucrats dropped by 30, so that's definitely influence-based, because the bureaucrats have more influence than the Metropolitans, and they drop more than the Metropolitans, whereas that was reversed before, so that is good to know. And that should all trend back to 0, I believe. I'm going to expand the bureaucracy, though, to get that to... The bureaucrats will like me a little bit better. +10 relations. Plus some state reach. And then guaranteed livable salaries. So the bureaucrats are actually going to hate me a little bit more, actually. +20 bureaucracy corruption and 20 corruption. Ouch. I would do root out corruption, but that costs 5 ducats a month for 0.5 reduction. It's going to drop by 2 a year, so that'll take 10 years to get rid of all that corruption that we just gained. Hopefully that actually increases, the drop increases more now that we're giving livable wages. That would be good. I'll just avoid taking tax for the next 5 years. Casual literacy is not spawned yet anywhere in the world. 1450. I think it's now supposed to spawn in 1500, which is a huge gap between commercialization and casual literacy, if that's true. Our stability is in the tank, but we should be fine for the most part. These rebellions are pretty small. Angry Mob is the highest at 8,000, which is easily swept away. These guys are drilling. And I should be building now. Hopefully that increases resident pop growth. Also building a couple more ships. Ayutthaya took all of Khmer except one province over here. And you guys want to, if we were neighbors, they would accept tributary status. I don't know how much they would give me in terms of tribute. They only have 9,000 people in their country. Wouldn't do much, but I'd take those 20 people. Our capital has 565,000 people. Or peasants. Peasant-wise. This province, peasant growth, 2.3 thousand, migration 700. The farmlands is now positive 38 ducats. The industry is still positive, so it should have changed by now. Residents own 32% of that, so that's good. They should have more money in their pocket now. Hopefully they can buy more stuff. Hopefully they're also producing more stuff. Yeah, their wages and property income way farther than their expenses. Only growing by 42 though. 480 people migrating there. So I could make Ayutthaya a rival. Eventually I will do that and fight them. My tributaries are fighting each other. Guys, be friends. You need your people to give them to me. I need them to work in my fields. What's going on in the rest of the world? Our very small world. Technically, it's getting bigger. Might want to attack Bengal. The only problem is they're out of Jaunpur. Some taxes. If I wanted to, I could probably get back to -1 stability. Because the people are paying me taxes. Most of this comes from salt excise. So the salt consumption in the country is what's powering my taxes. Now we make 2 ducats. Commerce property is still positive. That industry property there has gone negative. Okay, yeah, industry property has now gone negative, so it took a couple years to update, but is now negative here. So the residents should be making a lot more money. Hopefully they increase. Their wages and property income is now 160 ducats. Their consumption and investment is 105-ish. So they should start consuming more and growing. The center of trade in this province decreased. Looks like, oh yeah, I have 2 merchants now. That's unfortunate. So I really don't want to do investment in commerce property because I think that's what messed it up before. Or it might be at least one of the things that messed it up before. Here's the census. Looks like there's a lot of people moving out of the country. Residents still negative. But, okay, so the natural change of residents is negative, but we're getting 2,500 people moving into our country, presumably from the outside countries, probably Ming and Song. So the resident growth, it's not negative 126 per year, it's positive 2,400 and some change. So our resident size is growing. Our burger size is not growing. I really just want, like, 4 merchants. I don't need much more than that. A tenant average income is now 0.84, average spending is 0.781, so they're above. Resident average income is now 4, spending 2.6, so they're doing pretty good. Hopefully they grow. Nobles' burghers are pretty wealthy, and yet they're dying, which is interesting. They're positive 50 ducats. Same with the clergy. They're dying because they're sad at all the money that they're not making. All the more money they could be making. Food is now negative. Every time this goes negative, I come back here to check this because it's probably irrigation going to rank 2, but that didn't happen. Okay, consumer goods increased by 3. Our naval demand is 37. It's a massive amount of naval demand. And our industrial demand went up to 87. So yeah, because of our building, industrial demand went up to 87. So now that that demand is that high, the residents are actually making good money. So those industries should expand. So I definitely want to build and nudge those cities to start building and expanding. I think that's the way to do that in terms of urban industries. So I have to mix in infrastructure plans in the middle of the rural plans. A merchant in the Mekong, I'm going to keep that there because I have provinces here and I want them to at the very least, trade with the rest of my country. And then this one, so hopefully I don't go below 2 merchants because I collect a decent amount of ducats here, 2.08, and then this facilitates trade with the rest of my country. But I'm going to end this part here and then go for a little bit and then go from there. Like before, so thank you for watching, and goodbye.